Hello and welcome to the Austrian Grand Prix Notebook. Nico Rosberg has done it again and extends his points tally to 29 points this season, which is very good for the championship. For his concern now, he's got a race victory over Hamilton, so he can afford to have one DNF and still be ahead of Lewis Hamilton in the championship, which is good for him. But obviously, if that was to happen, then the fight is definitely back on, and there's still enough races in the season for that to happen. So Hamilton, he had a great race, obviously starting from 9th place, went through the field in the first couple of laps, amazingly, to get up to 4th place, and then went from there and then did the Williams in the pit stop strategy, and he finished in 2nd. He was unable to do anything about his teammates, sadly. There's been a lot of conspiracy theories about his pit stops being slower than Rosberg's, which is absolutely rubbish if you ask me, simply because how can you control that? You can't control that. Someone, you can't go a second slower. You go as fast as you possibly can, and it's just coincidence that Rosberg's are quicker than Hamilton's. There's nothing to that at all. You know, I've had a go. You can have a go if you go to a Formula 1 race. You can have a go trying changing a tyre. Your mind is just focused on changing that tyre. There's nothing else you can concentrate on apart from thinking about, I'm going to do this one slower. And I know it's a German manufacturer, but that team is primarily English. So they're going to do as hard as they can for Hamilton as they can for Rosberg. I can't see any difference between that. So I think that's a bit silly that quite a lot of Lewis Hamilton fans, and I say that with probably quotes, are saying that in the media or saying that to the media as fans, as complaints to the sport. But it's just silly in my opinion. It really is. Just let them race. It's a coincidence. It's just racing. It annoys me that some Formula 1 fans do that. Williams then, moving on to Williams, they did well to get a 1-2 in qualifying. Can you believe it? Felipe Massa getting on pole position. But they know that they were not going to fight Mercedes in the race, which you have to think, yeah, that was about right, because half of us were screaming down the TV to pit either Felipe Massa or Valtteri Bottas in order to cover the Mercedes. But they kind of knew that they weren't going to race Mercedes, and the Mercedes were eventually, once they turned the wick up, which they eventually did halfway through the Grand Prix, that they were going to pass the Williams. So they thought, look, let's just run our own race and finish 3rd and 4th. It's the best we can achieve in this Grand Prix because we know the Mercedes are going to come, and you know the Mercedes are quick. But full credit to Valtteri Bottas getting his first ever podium for Williams and his first podium in his Formula 1 career. You know, he was only a couple of seconds, I think 6 seconds off Hamilton, so not a bad drive at all from Valtteri Bottas. Moving on to Force India. Force India had another strong showing with Sergio Perez, who is showing that he is a good driver when he has the car to do the job. Obviously struggled at McLaren last season, and I made the point that, you know, if you give Sergio a car and he can perform, and he's got a car at the moment at Force India, and he's performing it to the potential, and he's going ahead of Nico Hülkenberg, who everyone loves Nico Hülkenberg and says Nico Hülkenberg's a great driver, but Sergio Perez over the last couple of rounds has got the edge over Nico Hülkenberg. So what does that say about Sergio Perez? That is a very good question, and I think Sergio Perez yet again is showing that, hang on, if you put me in a car, a top running car, with conditions that he likes, a car that he can drive and can win races, I reckon Sergio Perez will do just as a good job as Nico Hülkenberg. There's no denying that he's doing a great job. On the other hand, Nico Hülkenberg, he'll be very disappointed after today's race. Obviously, losing out on the last lap to Daniel Ricciardo was a great move from Ricciardo to actually get past him, and that moves me nicely on to the world champions, which struggled today, Red Bull. They really did struggle today. They were off the pace all weekend with Sebastian Vettel losing drive again, which has meant that he was out of the race. He did manage to obviously recover the engine and actually got drive, but there was no point. He was already a lap down, and he was fighting down with Esteban Gutierrez, losing his front wing, and then Red Bull Rocky just said, look, let's just finish this race, save the MGUK units, because they're running out of those, and MGUH units, and actual combustion engines, which they're getting thin on, and it's only round 8 of the championship. So, not good for them. Daniel Ricciardo, though, scoring a few points. So, good for him. Moving on to Ferrari and Alonso yet again. He's always there. He's always in the mix. But Raikkonen, he's still off the pace. Obviously, Alonso finishing in 5th position and was giving Felipe Massa a little bit of a challenge while he was stuck behind Sergio Perez. And what can you say about Fernando Alonso? He's just always there. He's got the pace. He's always going to do something that will try and, get that car as far up the grid as he possibly can. And look, he's miles ahead of Kimi Raikkonen at the moment. And Kimi Raikkonen's having problems with corner entry into the corners. So you can definitely tell that Ferrari are getting better, but they're still struggling and they're still off the pace. But you don't know with Ferrari whether or not Alonso is dragging that car further where it should be, and Kimi Raikkonen is actually driving the car to its limits, and that's where the car should be. But Alonso, as he always does, outdrives the car, so you don't know where Ferrari actually are in the pecking order because Alonso drags that car. So, well, they're technically where Alonso can drag it, but Alonso's different class to many of the drivers on the field in Formula 1 at the moment. So that moves me nicely on to McLaren. Well, it kind of does, but here we go. McLaren, they struggled just again with Jenson Button, but Magnussen did have a solid job today, and they were still able to pick up some points with Kevin Magnussen, but no points with Jenson Button. They're improving, but they're still not fast enough. And as Kevin Magnussen said, he said, look, we've brought upgrades. The car is much better than what it was, but everybody else is improving, and when everybody else is improving, we're not improving enough to actually catch them up. So therefore, we're struggling still. So that's why they're still kind of the sixth fastest team in Formula 1 at the moment, because Force India are ahead of them, Williams are ahead of them, Ferrari are ahead of them. It depends on race pace and race strategy whether or not now Magnussen is fighting or Jenson Button is fighting. So it's an interesting dilemma to see how that plays out for the rest of the season if McLaren can actually improve, because Toro Rosso, who I'm going to move on to next, are not too far behind. The Toro Rosso just need to sort out their reliability problems, because Fiat is in the race with the McLarens. Fiat is always near those McLarens. So I know in terms of points for Toro Rosso, there's quite a bit of a gap for them to actually catch up McLaren because of their unreliability. That's 2 DNFs now in a row. So double chance to actually get points from Toro Rosso, in Montreal and Canada, but both cars retiring in both Grand Prix will not help them. They're still on 12 points. But Fiat shows, he can definitely race with McLaren. It's just they need the reliability and Toro Rosso to actually help them, because look at qualifying, they've got the pace. Fiat getting into Q3, there's definitely something there for Toro Rosso. They just need to capitalise on the actual race pace and reliability. Lotus, they had a solid race with Grosjean and Maldonado finishing, so that's better than something, because normally they're retiring from the Grand Prix, so actually getting into the line, but still no points, so they still need to find something pretty soon, and I'm running out of time. Sauber, yet again in the race of their own. I believe that Esteban Gutierrez will get a 10-place grid penalty for Silverstone due to his unsafe release, where he went with the rear right being loose, and same was what happened with Daniel Ricciardo. If you remember, he got that 10-second stop and go penalty and then had a 10-place grid penalty, which is in the rule book. There wasn't just a double whammy penalty that the stewards gave, is actually in the rule book for this season. Marussia beat Caterham with Bianchi, so that was good for them, but good thing for Caterham is that they've got the race pace, it seems, to match Marussia, which Marussia won't be too happy about, because Marussia has much better one-lap pace, literally a second or a second and a half sometimes, over the Caterhams. But in the race, the Caterhams are able to race the Marussias. The Marussias, yes, are coming out on top of that race, but for periods of that Grand Prix, Kamui Kobayashi was actually leading the way between those two teams. So there is some good positives for Caterham to take out of the race. Their race pace is actually similar to Marussia. They just need to work on that one lap pace and just find a little tiny bit in the race pace in order to actually say, yeah, we can do this. We can beat Marussia in a race and try and work up. So Caterham are a bit closer than the actual perception of Caterham is. So that's good for Caterham. But that is it. That is the end of the notebook. So a very entertaining Grand Prix. Kept you on our toes for the beginning until the Mercedes eventually came out on top with Nico Rosberg. Thank you so much for watching this notebook. Please remember to like, favourite, comment and subscribe to F1 Breakdown. And I will see you Actually, I won't see you for Silverstone because I'm not here. I'm at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix. But I will be appearing on the Pit Stop Radio, I believe, I might be down. It's not 100% confirmed. If not, then there will be a notebook on the Monday. But if I am on Pit Stop Radio, I will let you know. And there will be no Silverstone notebook. And I will be on Pit Stop Radio on the Monday evening at 8 p.m. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. And peace out for now.